Yeah, it is an interesting time to be in this space, and it's something that AI has been around for a while, and machine learning has been around for even longer than that. But it's not something that was being injected into every single product. And it seems like even products that you wouldn't think needed an AI component is a popular buzzword to throw into everything. The way I look at it is a lot of the privacy fundamentals that we look at, like especially like data minimization. So do we need to store like if we're looking like in an LLM, for example, chat GPT like product, do we need to store the prompt of the customer data that's being provided to us as part of this, which could be relatively massive and could include some pretty confidential stuff? Is there a reason we need to store that stuff? And how can we minimize what we're storing of the customer's data? I mean, I think that's a big part of it. Also, the models themselves, how are we building those models with the data that's being collected? And is there a way, since we need to make these models better, if we're not actually storing customer data, is there a way of maybe anonymizing that data to a standpoint that we feel comfortable that we can build a model on top of that? We've got to look at things like, from a responsible AI standpoint, is the model biased? And are we treating some classes not fairly? And so is there a mechanism in place for an individual to say, hey, I'm seeing bias? And then if there is that mechanism in place to say, hey, I see some bias in the model, maybe you should take a look at it. How are we storing that information, and what are we doing with it? So I think there's a lot of interesting privacy problems that arise from AI. I think a lot of what we've learned from privacy certainly helps. A fundamental thing of privacy is transparency, and that should be the same in AI, but also data minimization is a fundamental. But so the transparency of and fairness is another thing. So if you want to be transparent and fair, that means not having some bias in your LLM. How do you square that with data minimization, where you need the data to understand that the model was biased, but you also don't want to collect more from your customer than you need to? So, I mean, these are just things that I'm thinking about a lot. I think that a lot of people are thinking about a lot, and I don't think there's clear answers on how to solve these problems, but I think they're interesting problems to solve. And I think the frameworks that we've used in the past got to be our guideposts, and then we'll see where we go from there.